This video is brought to you by all of my wonderful patrons, and if you would like to help support the channel and what I do, I would highly recommend you check out the Patron link down in the description. You can get yourself some pretty cool perks. Or if you want to become a channel member, get yourself a badge for your comments, custom emotes when I live stream, you can click the join button down by the subscribe button. And without any further ado, let's begin. I work at a large crafting store in California and have been there for a year and 8 months now. A little background before I explain what's going on is needed. So last year we hired this guy named Hayden. Hayden was a little quiet on the first day, but quickly became more talkative and over the next couple of weeks started to never stop talking. He would constantly say weird shit. For instance, one day he was putting in a charge of building furniture. Our store carries stuff like furniture and home decor as well. He was apparently having difficulty assembling the table he was working on and said something about cutting his wrists if he couldn't figure out how to put it together. Another time we were both working in the stock room and he kept talking about how much he looked like the Parkland shooter. I'll admit he did in fact look like that kid, which was creepy. I remember one day I had gotten off work and was just waiting for my ride to pick me up when out of nowhere Hayden walked up beside me. He just stood there with an awkward smile on his face and I politely asked him, "What's up?" He said something to the effect of, "Oh, nothing much, just enjoying my lunch break. I'm thinking about going inside a Taco Bell and shanking someone right across the parking lot from our work." He pretty much laughed and said he was joking after saying that. When my wife picked me up, we saw him just walking towards the Taco Bell and he flashed us this creepy-ass ear-to-ear smile. The last straw for me was when he and I were assigned to work our spring freight and get it loaded up on a large U-boat. Our shift started at 7 a.m. and it was over at noon. It was 11 and we still hadn't finished our task because Hayden wouldn't stop goofing around. He would also work very slowly on purpose and would only take one item to the U-boat at once. Our boss came to where we were working and was upset that we weren't done yet. He told us we'd both get written up if the job wasn't finished before we were off. I was pissed off at this point and Hayden knew it. He seemed to feel bad for pretty much getting me in trouble and apologized. He then said something that concerned me. He had said in the most serious tone that I had heard him speak in since meeting him, "If I get fired, I'll shoot this place up." He went on to say that he knew where all the emergency exits were and would first shoot all the cashiers and then move on to the other employees in the store. I'll admit I didn't immediately report what he said, but it did have me on edge and I kept thinking about what if. After some convincing from my wife, I finally did the right thing and informed my manager. They took a written report from me and contacted the police. After 2 more days of working with Hayden, he was fired and subsequently arrested for his threats. The week after he got arrested, my boss held a meeting with the entire staff and told everyone what had happened. After everyone left the meeting, he pulled me aside and revealed to me what the police and Hayden talked about during the interrogation. I don't completely remember what was said, but Hayden apparently admitted what he had said and kept asking if I was the one that reported him. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. I was working at the same store, still am, and I was heading to the break room for my final break when I heard a voice from one of the aisles to the left. A man was standing next to a paint case and asked if I could help him with some paint. While I was opening the case, he addressed me by name, which I immediately thought was weird because I wasn't wearing my name tag on that particular day. Out of curiosity, I asked him how he knew my name and he said it was just a lucky guess, to which I thought it was BS. Mainly because his tone of voice seemed sarcastic. The entire time I was getting his paint, he was staring at me with a smirk on his face. He then began to ask me questions about my name, which is the same name of a popular TV show character. He asked what year I was born, why my parents decided to give me that name, etc. At this point, I started to walk away as I had other things to do, and the whole time I was walking away, he was still trying to talk to me. I heard him yelling my name from 3 aisles down. I went and stood in the warehouse until I thought he was gone. Later that same day, one of my coworkers asked me if I knew the guy who was buying the paint, and I told her I didn't. She told me that he had approached her and asked her all kinds of questions about me and if I'm a good worker and if she likes me as a coworker. This is an ongoing issue too, as he's come into the store 2 other times, one being yesterday during my day off and apparently asked where I was. I don't know for sure, but I suspect this guy might be cousins with Hayden, as they sort of look alike and have similar mannerisms. Both look similar to the Parkland shooter and have that same creepy vibe. This might not be the scariest thing on here, but it's still freaky. An update from a few days after the story was written. Tonight I worked the closing shift and was outside getting carts after the store closed at 8 p.m. when 2 SUVs pulled into the parking lot. One of them parked behind the store and the other one parked in the main parking lot. I was standing in the front entrance doors when a man dressed in all black and wearing a hood stepped out of one of the SUVs. Another guy walked up to him and they both started approaching the store. I politely told them that we were closed, and I looked down to notice a large baseball bat in hoodie guy's hand. I started repeatedly ringing the bell to let me back inside, and these guys were just pacing back and forth in the lot staring right at me. My manager let me in and called the police. The guys were long gone when they got there. This could have easily been a totally unrelated incident, but I thought I'd still update because the whole thing makes me think it could have been you-know-who. This happened about 2 or 3 years ago, but I still think about it every now and then when I'm walking alone and no one's around. I was volunteering at a school in a rural area about 3 kilometers from my home. I didn't know how to drive, and I have an irrational fear of biking. That's another story, so I didn't mind walking home every Wednesday. I was 19 at the time, but just know that I looked 3 years younger. Short girl, round face, big eyes, no makeup. It was winter. It was cold. It was raining, and I had no umbrella. It's fine though. I like the rain, and I was covered from head to toe, so I enjoyed my peaceful walk with music blasting through my earphones. But as I was walking, I saw something in my peripheral vision that always scared me in a situation like this. A car slowing down, following me. I didn't know what to do. I tried not to assume the worst, and I turned to see whether that was the only car on the road or if there were any other potential witnesses in case something happened. Nope. Just this one car following me. No one else around as far as the eye could see. Then the driver lowers his window and I see his face. Old man. Seems to take care of himself. Unfortunately not weak looking. Eyes fixed on me. Where you going? Would you like me to take you somewhere? I take out my earphones. Huh? I had heard him, because at this point I had already turned down the music to be more aware of my surroundings. Plus, despite not wanting to assume the worst, I still wanted to buy some time to think of an out. Where can I run? Can someone hear me if I scream? Can anyone else see us? Where can I get help? Well, there was no one and nowhere to run or really hide. I was walking in this very rural area on the side of the road that had one field on one side and woods on the other. There was just one abandoned house up ahead, so I tried to reason with myself. This man is probably just concerned that I'm visibly walking a long distance, right? So I say, "Oh, no thanks. I'm fine. I like walking." "Oh, no, I don't care about that. I just want you to get in the car." What? Maybe he's concerned because it's raining and I don't have an umbrella? No thanks. I know it's raining, but I like the rain, so I'm okay. No, I don't care. I just want you to get in the car. I'll drive you where you need to go. For fuck's sake. Really? I'm giving this potential kidnapper 2 excuses and he doesn't take them? His intentions are becoming clearer and clearer. I can't ignore this anymore, and he never breaks eye contact. Like he's analyzing my every move and reaction. I'm starting to notice that his smile is starting to become more sinister too. Is it just my fear tricking me? I'm trying to look as friendly and naive as possible because I don't want him to realize that he can't trick me to getting into his car and his only choice would be to use force. Remember, no one can hear me if I scream. Listen, I just want to talk to you. Can I? Well, okay, what is it? No, I mean, I want to talk to you properly. Get in the car. I just want to talk to you. That's the only moment he breaks eye contact, and it's to slowly look at me from head to toe. Well, you know what? How about I park a little bit further and you can join me to have a chat? Sure, I don't know if you'll find a place to park anywhere close, but go ahead if you want, sir. I'm only walking straight anyway. Perfect. See you there? Yes, sir. He smiles and drives away. I wait for his car to be far enough so he can't see me, and I immediately turn to run to the abandoned house to hide while I make a call for my mom to come and get me. Police wouldn't do anything since I'm not in immediate danger. We've tried to call them once after some serious threats from a stalker, and they just told us only to call if the stalker was on our property. That's another story. I explain everything to my mom, and she tells me to send her a screenshot of Google Maps with my exact location just in case something happens, and to stay hidden while keeping an eye on the road to see if the man's car appears again. I'm about to end the call when I see his car drive by again. And what do I see? He's looking right at me as if he already knew exactly where I was hiding, waving at me with a smile on his face, still with this trying very hard to seem friendly vibe. He knows I'm hiding and on a call with someone now. He knows I wasn't as naive as I was pretending to be. Then he just drives away. My mom's still on the phone with me, so I tell her what just happened, and she tells me to stay calm and wait for her. We end the call, I wait, and he doesn't come back again. My mom's car appears much faster than I anticipated. I get in and we go home. I still can't wrap my head around what exactly happened or what could have happened. This happened in my first year at university in Australia. I was moving out of home for the first time, and I think this made me very, very naive in this situation. I was a 20-year-old female. I found a cheap place in the city near my workplace and university at the time. $150 for a room in a share house only 20 minutes out from the CBD. It seemed like an awesome deal to me. I messaged the landlord and told her that I was interested. Before she gave me a time to come and inspect the place, she seemed overtly interested in my ethnic background. I'm half Ethiopian, so I definitely don't look white, but when I told her I'm Australian, she suddenly became withdrawn. I thought it was strange. Maybe she thought I was lying because she had seen my profile photo on flatmates.com, so I explained my background. She seemed satisfied with my answer, and we organized a time for me to come and see the room. I will call the landlord Denise. Denise showed me around and talked as if the place was already mine, which I thought was exciting. There was a main house with 5 bedrooms, a caravan on the side, and a granny flat behind it with 3 bedrooms, which is where I would be moving in. The main house and the caravan were full, 7 people living there, but only one of the rooms in the granny flat was occupied. It was nice enough considering, and very clean. A weekly cleaner was included in the rent price as well as a weekly maintenance. I didn't think to ask what that meant because I was pretty set on moving in. I met the people who would be my housemates. All of them were foreigners, mostly Chinese and South Korean, who had come to study. I still didn't find this odd. I mean, there are plenty of international students here. The door in my room had a lock on it, and I was told only myself and Denise had a key. But Denise never came to the house, so there was a nice level of privacy. A week after I moved in, I met the maintenance guy. I'll call him Patrick. He seemed to be gardening and came over to introduce himself. Seemed nice enough. I found out he's Denise's brother, and he looked to be in his late 40s or so. I found him a bit awkward, but I have been raised to be polite to a fault, so I ended up talking to him for a long time before going back to my room. I don't remember what we talked about, but I remember him saying things like I was very beautiful and describing my skin as exotic and caramel more than once, which rubbed me the wrong way. A few days later, the cleaner comes also. She is super lovely and has known Denise and Patrick for a long time. She and I had a nice chat, and for some reason she brought up that Patrick was on the autism spectrum. So to me that explained his awkwardness, and I realized he's harmless. So I felt bad for my initial judgment of him. Next time I saw him, I came out of the kitchen and saw him standing there. This struck me as odd. One, it was in the morning and I was in my pajamas having just woken up. Two, he's the maintenance guy. I don't understand why he should be inside. But I still felt bad, so I just smiled and said hello. He turned and seemed startled, but explained to me he was just taking out the trash. I saw that he had replaced the bins in the kitchen, so I was just like, oh, okay, he was just trying to be nice, I guess. But I told him he didn't really have to do that. He just kind of insisted, and I was like, alright, whatever. Ended up talking to him again. Again, he seemed to have a weird fixation on me being exotic, even though I had told him I was born in Australia. But mostly he was just generally asking how I was finding the place, and he reiterated that everything was super safe, and for some reason brought up the keys to my bedrooms. He said to me Denise and him had keys. I didn't say anything out loud, but in my head I said, wait, since when does he have a key? But I still kind of brushed it off. Cut to a few months later. I work about 4 to 6 days a week, casual, as well as going to uni 4 days, so I'm rarely there during the day and lock the bedroom door before leaving every day. I don't remember exactly what time of year this would have been, but I know it was colder and I hadn't used the ceiling fan in my room for a while. I got home, unlocked my bedroom door, and the ceiling fan was on. This struck me as odd immediately. I knew I hadn't turned it on in forever. I was very, very confused, and thought I'd turned it on while leaving and just didn't remember. I brought it up to my roommate and she just kinda shrugged and said that's odd, but didn't seem weirded out by it, so I figured I was overthinking it. Note that I kept to myself a lot. I wasn't close with any of my roommates and only talked to this woman occasionally. A few weeks later, I'm leaving work and I have a very strange feeling while walking to the front gate of the house. For some reason, I turn around and I see Patrick hiding behind some bushes staring at me. As soon as he's caught, he turns and pretends to be gardening. In the moment, my mind actually kind of went blank. I was like, surely he wasn't watching me. All I did was frown and wonder why he would stare at me like that and then pretend that he hadn't been. I come back later in the day, unlock my door, walk in, and again something is off. But this time I can't put my finger on it. I stand in my room looking around, staring at everything in the room, but I can't find anything. When I realize that I didn't know what I was looking for, I feel creeped out and leave my room and tell my roommate again that I thought someone had been in my room. This time she sat down with me and basically said she thought someone went in her room recently too. We chatted and she said that she had left her back bedroom window open and she went to work, and when she came home it was shut. I brought up the fan again and my roommate said maybe we should let Denise know. So I texted Denise and said something along the lines of, I think someone's been going in my room because of these events, and my roommate said the same thing. I exchanged a few messages with Denise, but the general response from her was just, oh wow, that's so bizarre. Again, being super naive, young, and too polite for my own good, I assumed I was overreacting and didn't want to seem like a bad tenant. Thankfully, it turns out Denise was more sympathetic than I realized because she said she was going to have the locks changed the next day. I was like, yay, thanks, and assumed that would be it. But in my head I was thinking, only 3 people have keys. Me, Denise, and Patrick. So if someone's been coming in, wouldn't it have been one of us 3? Which is why I didn't feel good when Patrick showed up the next day to change the lock himself, being the maintenance guy and all. I ended up leaving while he did the change. Got a text later saying it was done and new keys were in the mailbox. Fast forward. I had now been at this place nearly a year. By now I was aware that Patrick seemed to come over about twice a week and he always came inside the house to take out the rubbish, but never really seemed to do maintenance work. I chalked it up to Denise giving him a job because he couldn't find one elsewhere, and I tried to avoid him. As far as I remember, nothing else seemed strange. Until now. I come home from work and walk into my bedroom, and while I'm getting my clothes to shower, I notice something very, very strange that was definitely not there when I left. There was a whitish pale gunk kinda splattered upwards on the wall and the floor. Honestly, my first thought after looking at it for a while was like, that looks like donut glaze or something. I leaned closer to it, but still didn't register what the stuff was, only that I definitely hadn't spilled anything there at all. So again, I got creeped, went to the kitchen to grab a Chucks and wipe it, when I had a thought like, wait, is that semen? I really didn't know what to look for, but as soon as I had that thought, nothing could convince me otherwise. And again, my door had been locked. Only myself, Denise, and Patrick had keys. My roommate wasn't even home, but I called Denise right away. She didn't answer, so instead I messaged her and basically said someone had been in my room and there was some weird stuff splattered on the wall. I wanted to see if she came to the same conclusion I did. Her response this time was really off. She messaged back hours later and was dismissive, something like, "Very bizarre. The lock's been changed though." And I was like, "Yeah, obviously. So who do you think would have been in here?" I felt so weird and grossed out I went to a friend's place and messaged my stepdad about it. I told him everything for the first time, and I guess it sounds a lot worse all at once because his response was, "Hell no, you're moving out of there." I called Denise and told her I was going to move out if the issue wasn't taken seriously. This is when I realized that the leasing situation at this place was dodgy, which I didn't know beforehand due to my lack of experience and no sense to ask. Essentially, there was no record of me actually being a tenant, and I was kind of just sending money into this lady's bank account, but there wasn't any official paperwork. I looked back over the stuff I signed when I initially moved in, and it was typed up by Denise, I assume. I don't remember details, but it wasn't official at all. Super naive. So I was able to move out ASAP. Denise didn't put up a fuss about the short notice. When I came back the next day, the stuff on the wall was gone, so I didn't have any proof of what happened. But that just kind of confirmed to me that something weird was going on with Denise and Patrick. My stepdad helped me take all my stuff. I didn't have much. Denise just left a message and said, "Please leave the keys on the counter." It took me a few weeks to process every creepy thing that had happened throughout my stay and put it all together as a mass creep fest. My roommate left soon after. Months later, she messaged me to say that one of her old housemates told her the police were called on the place. Don't know why or what happened, but I suspect it wasn't for the tenants. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you would like to help support the channel, you can check out my Patreon page and get yourself some pretty cool perks along with being a supporter of the channel. Or if you want to become a channel member, you can click the join button down by the subscribe button and get yourself a cool badge, some custom emotes when I live stream, all that good stuff. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and I really do appreciate you checking out this video. And I will catch you in the next one. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true. Bad bye.